So tell me about your decision to start trading. How did that happen, and why did you get in trading in the first place?
Okay, so yeah, first of all, like, thank you for having me at the end. I appreciate, like, really appreciate being here. And for me, it was like really like it came actually from my spiritual past. So just to give you like a background, like I'm 35 years old now, and for 29 years, I was actually like battling addiction in my life. So I didn't achieve much during the first 29 years of my life. And I wasn't really like battling addiction. I was just losing to substance abuse and addiction. And then at 29, I kind of like decided, like, I hit my rock bottom and I started to look at the life. And for after 2 years, I sort of found like a dead end job. I was doing some online marketing, which I didn't really enjoy. I was just like doing something that but it didn't feel like any purpose. I was getting paid, and I just I just didn't felt like, okay, like this is all that's gonna be to life. And then I was reading like a book. I was like 2 years into this like spiritual journey. I was clean for all the substance abuse. It was like 2.5 years actually. And I went to mountains for a winter vacation, and I was doing like a meditation there, a guided meditation. And in that meditation, there was like the guidance was like, okay, so now forget like all your limitations, like forget like how you did in school. And I never finished high school, so that was very helpful for me. Like forget like what do you think is too difficult, like forget about like everything, like you might have like some pictures or what's difficult or what's possible for you, like, or how difficult it's going to be to achieve what you want, what it's going to be. And then it just came like super clearly to me, like, yes, I definitely want to work from home and I want to trade. It's like there was something like so attractive about the trading. For many years I just saw it like, oh, this is like so amazing, but each time I look into it, I just like, oh, there's some like fundamentals, you have to watch news all the time, and there's like, oh, this is so complicated, I'm just never going to make it. And somehow like this meditation just help me, just like, okay, so let's do it like step by step. You will just buy one book, read the book, and see what happens. So step by step I started to get in, and I just kept coming back. And now it's going to be 4 years. 4 years later, I'm still here.
How were the first few years of you learning to trade? Was it easy information, and how did you progress?
So I read a book and did some like basic online stuff, like some free stuff. I think it was like baby pips or something like that. So I did like some basic course, and I was just like very set, like, hey, I'm gonna do this right, like I'm gonna do this thing right, I'm gonna take it, like I'm just gonna follow the guidance, I'm gonna follow what they're telling me. uh, I'm not gonna be like the other traders. That's what I decided. And so I read like one book, then I found like I did this course, joined like the first course. I actually started trading 6 months after I started studying trading. I was just like, okay, I'm not going to be like these other traders, I'm not going to learn a setup and then just like put $10,000 on it. So I was very careful. I was like following my mentors, and it was still very difficult for me. It was still very difficult for me because I had that feeling that I'm doing everything like I always risked. I had perfect risk management, I had perfect trade management, but like I was losing money. So I was not blowing up accounts, but I started an account, and it just, I had like maximum drawdown of like 15 to 20%, and my accounts, they're pretty much just like just directly went there, and I'm just like, what am I doing wrong? And so this was so it was, but I just kept coming back. I just kept coming back, like so there was always like a hope that like to keep coming back. And that was actually after this was happening for year and a half. And that's where I actually reached out to other people, because like my first trading mentor, I learned so much from him. But the trading style, it wasn't working so well for my personality. And I remember I reached out to other mentors, and I reached out to like 3 or 4 of them, and you were one of those. And I told them the situation, and I just got like 3 generic emails, which were just like, yeah, join our course and you will get blah, 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 this discount. And so I was just like, okay, like it was obvious that it was just like machine generated answer. And you actually answered me, and that was very helpful. I remember what was in that mail. I told you like, hey, I don't want to make the mistake like other traders do, that like just getting in the circle of the doom, just starting a new system. It's not working for you, so I start a new one, a new one, a new one. But I was just like, but I'm trying to make this work for 18 months, like with my best intentions, and it's not working. And you just told me like, hey Sam, so maybe, imagine that this is a sport, and you're like a offensive player, and you're training defense all the time, or this is just like not your sport. Like maybe you're a good golfer and you're playing football, so just don't be afraid to learn something new. And it turned out that that was actually something that I really needed. Like I needed additional confluence factors. I just, like at that point, I just couldn't make the strategy work without additional confluence factors. And that's what I actually learned in Desire to Trade Academy. It's like that just accepting myself, like, okay, there's some people who can amazingly trade that. Like they can just trade support resistance and they all they need. But that's not my case. And that's completely okay because I have my vision, something I want to achieve with the trading. And that's not to be like the best trader to beat the other traders with my skill. It's just to achieve my vision. And like you actually really helped me with that, with understanding like what kind of trader I am, what works for me, and that it's okay not to be good at everything. It's okay to have my own style because I thought like I'm a failure if I'm not gonna follow that kind of style. So that were my first years. And since then, and this is very interesting, like what I learned in Desire to Trade, like those I learned the Bollinger Bands reversal strategy, and I was backtesting it like extensively. I backtested it for a year overall, I think. And what I learned during the backtested, like I backtested, like I counted it, like I think like it was like 600 years of data. It was just like, and I was manually backtesting and backtesting, and I realized like there is something that was missing. Like the missing part was that I could change something very little. I could just change, that, oh, I'm just gonna trade zones in the ranges, for example, not in the trend. Some very little change. Or I'm gonna be more careful about like the Bollinger Band like piercing or something. And that changed the losing strategy like really bad into like wow, like the results were suddenly like completely different. So that's when I understood like, oh, so the rules are very precious. And understanding the very precious of the rules and leaving very little to my interpretation was actually what I needed to start my first profitable year, which started almost 2 years after I started trading, like 20 months after I started trading, started my first profitable year. And I needed like this experience with very mechanical system to understand even how discretionary trading systems work, so I think that was my initial journey before I got into break even profit.
That's awesome. That's a lot of things that I didn't really know about that you just mentioned now, which is really cool. And also the fact that you've been able to see some really good progress quite fast in the academy. Like I remember maybe like a year and a half after you joined, you had your first profitable year of trading, right? How
Yeah,
do you think it happened? What was the result of that?
it was first. I think it was a lot of back testing. So that was very helpful. Just understanding like when I just look at the charts, it's just like understanding the principles of the trading. I understood how precious it is and how small changes can make a big difference. Uh, Also, what was very helpful, and I think like some things which were really helpful, like some tools I started to use even before this year started. So it wasn't just like I started to do magically everything on one day and then like my first profitable year started. It was just like these little decisions like coming together. And when 10 of those decisions clicked together, then my first profitable year started. So I would say like this, very important thing for me was just like not be afraid to ask questions, like because even when I'm academy, like sometimes in my head it's just like, oh Sam, like you have stupid questions, you're trading for a year, you should know better, why are you asking this? uh, and getting help was so essential, like getting help, asking for help, like not be afraid to be like, that's why I'm a member in the academy, to ask questions. And probably I'm my toughest judge. No, I never saw a question from other student and I never thought like, oh, this is a stupid question. I always thought like, oh, this guy is like serious about trading. He's asking, he's putting himself out there. But I had this fear. So this was very important for me to do. And another very important thing to do was somehow when I was training the other course, uh, when there was something like, okay, this is what beginners do, and as you're going to get better, you're going to start doing this. And I was like, I don't need the beginner thing. Like, what? I'm gonna just, yeah, I understand the advanced things like perfectly. So let me just jump onto that. I don't need wide stop losses. Why would I? Like I understand how to, snipe the entry. And this was like a huge, like, I think this was like one of the main factors was just like, okay, so let me trade like a beginner. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like, because obviously when I try to trade like very advanced professional, my results are not advanced and not professional. My advance is just like one downhill slope. But when I actually do the things the beginners should do, like take wide stop losses, have very strict rules, like stupid strict, like I would say like mindset proof rules. Like when I tend to overtrade, there should be a rule which like stops me from doing that. So having very strict rules, not going for like 15, 20 hour because like, oh yeah, like this is gonna work. No, like I'm a beginner, I'm gonna go for 2 hour, for 3 hour. That's what my strategy needs. So this was a very, like, I would say surrender to what is. That was like it's like a spiritual principle. I just surrendered that yes, I'm a beginner and let me learn the beginner things. Like it's okay to be beginner. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to ask for help. And that's actually helping me until today. Like I still do it. It's like even though like I'm profitable, I'm still having like personal like mentoring from you because I need your help. So it never stops. There's no graduation in the trading. It's like I always feel like there's so much more to grow. I always feel like I'm at the beginning, and that's really helpful. Just this mindset that I don't have to do it alone. And why would I have to do it alone? Like, why would I? Like, like president is not running the country by himself. Like, he has a team around him. But there was like something in my head that I have to do it alone, just to be like the bravest, the greatest, and that's not true. I don't have to be. I just have to have a great team, and that was also what the academy bring to me. Like there's Alex in academy, and we're working with Alex today. Like we are really good friends. He's helping me. We're communicating daily, and we're building a project together, and that's just beautiful. Like also these connections I get from people, and also what I'm trading now is like the strategy is like not just like I'm just like a part of the team of making this strategy, and there are other people taking care of like automation, implementation. So that's like it's okay to have a team of people to help you, and it's actually very powerful to have a team of people to help you and to listen to them.
How did you feel when you had your first profitable year? Were you like happy? Were you kind of a bit angry because the last few months that weren't that good, or how do you feel back then?
Honestly, I just had to do it in sake of like positive reinforcement, because like my first profitable year like started that I made like 19%. Like first 3 months were just like break even, which was great. Then I made like 19%, and then I still had like leaks in my system, so I started to lose. So I finished my first profitable year, and I'm a trader. I work with numbers, so I like to be exact about numbers, not to be vague around numbers. So my first profitable year ended at like seven hour profit. So it wasn't like a rock star year. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, like give me millions, I'm ready. It was very subtle. This is how it was. It was just like 7%, but I was proud of it. I was proud of my mindset of even sticking to my rules, even when like I was just like, so I made 19% at like 3 months in the spring of 2019. So I was just like, so that's 19R. So I was like, okay, so by the end of the year, like if I keep improving, I could be at 100% a year. I'm a rock star trader, and that didn't happen. Instead, it went lower and lower, and I needed more help. I needed to rebuild my system. So it wasn't like some graduation. There was no prize. There was no trophy, but I was celebrating it to reinforce my mindset that got me there, and that I didn't ruin the account after the strategy showed its like problems. I was really good with risk. So this was something like so it wasn't like it was almost like a forced celebration. I don't want to say forced, but it's just like I have to celebrate what I can control. And when my next mentoring sessions in 3 months is in 3 months and my strategy is losing until then, that's okay, because that's my skill set for the time. That's just the best that I can do, and it's important not to break the rules and then improve it after 3 months when I have mentoring sessions with you or my other mentors.
What happened after that year for you to be able to kind of get back on track like you are now? I think the highest point in your equity curve now.
I actually switched to the strategies that fitted me the most. I completely focused on the BBR strategy, and then I started to work on like some algo strategies as well. Uh, but that was just like just focusing on the one thing and just getting into that which works best. You know, because I had like, oh, you should be good at this trading style because this is like discretionary trade, completely discretionary. No, I don't want to say completely, but 80% discretionary. That's really cool. So I kind of let that go. Like, hey, you know, it's like there was a lot of like blockages in my mind of like what is a cool trader and what is like not so cool trader. And I just realized like, okay, so Sam, just look at your life, like look at your trading, look what works for you and follow that. Just forget what's cool or what other, you know, like, and that's just in my head. Like nobody, like 99% of the world doesn't even know like what is discretionary and algo trading, you know, and yeah, but in my head it was kind of like a big deal. It was a big deal, and so that was the thing. Like I think like switching more to automated and algo systems. That was the solution for me.
The other thing that I think is interesting for you to talk about is the fact that the kind of trader who wants to trade like all day, like 7 hours a day, 8 hours a day. You are an athlete first, so you do a lot of gym and things. You work out a lot. So how do you combine the trading with that?
I would say that there are some different there were different stages in my trading journey. You know, like there were at the beginning. Okay, so I will share about this from the beginning. Like when I started to trade, I was just like, okay, I'm not going to pay attention to my business anymore because I thought like if I'm going to do everything right, I'm going to be earning money for trading in like 6 months and I'm just going to be all good. So I'm just going to do like the minimum on my business and focus like all my efforts on the trading. And that didn't work. That didn't work for me. There are some people, very successful people, who quit their job and just focus on their dream and somehow they make it. That's not my case. You know, I'm the kind of person who likes to have a prosperous life, you know, a prudent reserve. So that was just like something that didn't work for me. I had to, and also it made me overtrade because I was just like my living quality went down. I kind of hang my happiness on making it in the trading. So I was like, oh, now I need to make it with trading. I need to make it like happen fast so that my life gets better. And I trade way better when my life is already good. And trading is just like, I don't want to say a thing on the side because it's my main mission and it's what I feel in my heart that is my purpose for now. But still, like to have like a good quality life, whatever it takes. And then I also got a little bit obsessed with CrossFit. I was an athlete. I was competing. I was training like 4 hours a day, and algos were actually really helpful with this. And I achieved like quite a success in CrossFit. Like within like 2 years, I started to compete, and I was like usually in like top three in the competitions. I was like doing really well, and but then I also had to realize like, okay, so probably I have to, if I put this focus on CrossFit and I did so well, like let me try to do it on the trading. So because I also had to be like a little bit like real, like okay, so this is a hobby, and it's a little bit of an ego trip to keep just like, oh, I want to win competitions, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful for mindset to be like to keep pushing, to put the effort, and like to have it like recognized. It was those were beautiful moments. But you know, it was not part of my life missions. It will not help me travel. So I decided to focus more on trading. So now I actually trade a little bit more. I still like run my algo strategies, but I started to work. I got hired for like a crypto trading fund, so that's little bit more serious. I'm backtesting strategy for them. I'm finding my role is to find strategies, backtest them, and bring them to the algo team, and also instruct the algo team how to program the strategies, the logic, and also I'm building a crypto very basic crypto trading course for now. It's just like explaining them like, hey, this is Bitcoin and this is what is cryptocurrency. So it's very basic. So now my trading became way more serious. And I also made the decision that at this stage that this is my focus, and I do a little bit more on trading. Like I do it regularly, like every day. I don't take days off right now because I can afford it now because my spiritual practice, like my yoga and meditation, I do so much that I don't need days off. So I can do my business and I can do trading as well. But I had to grow into it. I couldn't just start and just jump into that. I had to find tools to allow my mind to be working well, even with that effort. So I would say it was a continuous journey. And what is like the most important factors was just having a good quality of life, not hanging all on trading, like, oh, either it's going to make with trading or I'm going to have a miserable life. And then just going sort of with the flow. I think it was very important for me to do CrossFit and do less trading at the beginning, to see what I can achieve, because I didn't have much experience with achieving anything in my life before. And then I like moved that effort from CrossFit into trading was also very helpful. So that's sort of how it is, and I love it. Like now I'm focusing. I'm like working every day and trading like 5 days a week, like doing like things which are not necessarily connected, with trading as well, but about like the running the fund, the things in the fund and stuff like that. But I wake up every day and I'm excited for the things that I'm building. I'm excited for the future, and where it's actually taking me right now is just like that's something that you also showed me, like, hey, like you can just trade and travel. And I just realized like Bali just opened to a business visa. Like, hey, like why wouldn't I go to live to Bali? So I'm talking to my business coach and like mindset coach, and just we're putting a healthy trajectory for me to move to Bali in April next year. So I can serve there. So I will be able to serve there and trade there, and that's just beautiful.
That's really cool. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
kind of the question I want to ask you too is you mentioned crypto fund, you mentioned Bali as well. What are some of the opportunities that kind of came up with either you being in the academy or you being a better trader? What are some things that were kind of brought from there?
So I would say you can see that also in religions. Like religions, you have like a principles and a practice, and it's like a bird, which has two wings. And people who do just the practice, they seem to go around in the circles. It's just like people who just go to church and they don't practice principles. And the same thing is about like philosophers who just, you know, who just study like the principles and they don't do the practice really. And they seem to go in the circles. And for me, in a trading, like you have to put these two together. It was a skill set and the mindset. Like there seemed to be like a very big obsession in a trading, like, oh, mindset is so important, it's so important. And I completely agree with it. But it's just like part of it too. You have to put like skill set and mindset together. So that was something that I also like realized in academy, that you can have a great mindset, but if you don't do like a good strategy that fits you, you're just wasting time. Uh, so this was very important. Also, like what was very important for me, I think, in what I figured out in the journey was like the money mindset, because I had like big problems there. I had like like all these like thoughts about money, like, hey, like I thought like having money, being prosperous in a healthy way, and being spiritual doesn't go together, and I'm not following any religions, but I'm quite spiritual person. I meditate a lot. So working on the mindset really worked, like meditating, I'm doing tantric yoga. That's actually really helping. Money mindset, and like having team of people, this is, and accountability, that's such a huge things. And this is why it's so important to me to have like mentors, because I can like read a book, and or I can go through a course, and I think, and I could swear that I'm doing everything that they tell me to do, but actually I'm not. For some reason, just like my mind can trick me, like, okay, you're doing like exactly what they told, but somehow my mind is selective about what I hear. Just like I said at the beginning, like they say something like, "You're a beginner, so you should do this," and the advanced person should after you have skills, you should do that. And my mind just automatically skips into that. And that's why I need a feedback. I need to be part of a group. I need to have like teachers and mentors that give me this feedback, because I don't see it by myself. And that's saving me so much time, just like investing into myself, investing into trading, so that was a huge thing. And also working on the skill set, so that goes hands in hand. I think like those hours I was backtesting the Bollinger Bands reversal strategy, that was just like so helpful to actually absorb the market and just understand its nature. It's, I don't want to say like it helped me like understand, like to find a new strategy or something, but to see the nature, how the confluence factors have to be aligned. Like it's hard to understand, but it feels like to explain what happened there. But there was like this skill set that also had to like get into place. And you know what's funny? It's like actually when I think about like, hey, what am I actually doing now for in that like cryptocurrency hedge fund? And I'm actually backtesting strategy. So actually the fun part, which I actually learned because I enjoy backtesting, I just love it. I love backtesting for some reasons. Like manual backtesting, I love doing it. And now that's actually I scout the internet for new strategies. I backtest. I put my experience into it, so I adjust them like how it could work better. I backtest it, and then I get it to the algo guys, and then I like just talk to them. So that's actually building my skill set has actually became like one of my biggest strengths. That's very very important. And yeah, just like I said, and also it feels, and I can't really put this into numbers or something like something exact. So, but this is just like my experience. It feels like the more responsible I'm with the money and like building my wealth and my savings and like having a financial plan, and just the more mature I am, the better gets like my trading results, the more I get from life. It somehow works, and I can't really explain that. I couldn't make money or get good at trading before I was ready for it in other areas of my life, it seems. And one last very important thing, which I would say, is saying yes to opportunities and believing in people who believe in me, like my mentors, because usually I have like sort of like still this like imposter syndrome in me. I still think like, yeah, like my ego can tell me like go do advanced things, but when it actually came to like, hey, like let's come work for a crypto fund, I'm just like, oh no, 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 I'm not ready for this. So saying yes to opportunities, like having a vision of what I want to achieve, that's very important, because like opportunities to go cut the grass for $10 an hour, that's not the opportunity I want to take. My opportunity that I want to take are trading related. So saying yes to these opportunities is like so important to me, and just ready or not, I don't have to be feel ready. And that's what's moving me forward, because by myself I would be moving like very slow. So that's a very very important thing. Just say yes, even though I'm scared, even though I feel I'm not ready, because I believe that, and somehow the my mentors and like people who are guiding me, they see my potential before I manifest it. Somehow they can do it. I don't know how they can do it, but somehow they do. So I just trust them. Like, okay, you think I could do this? I'm ready for this. Okay, so let's do it. Let's move to Bali. Let's trade together in Bali. Let's do it. It's scary. I have no idea how it's going to happen now, but I know that in a month it's going to be, or 2 months, it's going to be pretty clear, and it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, what I guess for sure is that you've been putting in the work quite a lot, and everything I told you before to do, everything we talked about before, you always did it like right away after. So that's really cool. And you attended the mastermind call like really often in the beginning. I think you were there like pretty much every month or something.
Mhm.
That's like trading success. That's how people succeed, by being there all the time, putting the work, being consistent with what they do. So I think you portray that really well. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to mention to people watching this, or people who might maybe want to join the academy, or people who might want to kind of take your advice to trade better? What would you tell them to focus on?
Main thing is just keep coming back. That's just like a main thing. Just it's gonna happen eventually. Like everything's gonna fall into place if you just keep coming back. I think because this was part of my journey. Just not giving up. Like, okay, so listening to people, like that's very important. But like the most important thing is just like keep coming back and listen to your journey. Like uh even if I fail, it's okay to fail. It's okay to go to drawdowns. Just keep coming back. That's like number one rule. Just like, okay, so if I hit my maximum drawdown for fifth time, I just watched some motivational video, and the next day I was on the chart trying it again. So keep coming back. Like surrender. You can't do this on your own. If you could do it on your own, you probably wouldn't be looking for help. So you can do, like, that's my experience. So I was looking for help. So surrender to the help and listen to the advices that seem stupid because it's or unnecessary, because that's the reason why I was not successful trader, because I find very important things stupid and unnecessary. Why would I like follow rules or whatever? It's just like, I can do better. No, that's not true. So get help, say yes to opportunities, and build a network of people. Like there are people, amazing people who achieve amazing things by themselves. That was not just my journey. And I think it was just like also like Henry Ford. He didn't know much about cars. I'm not sure if it was like Ford or Carnegie, some guy from the Think and Grow Rich book, but he didn't know much about cars or about steel. And he had a team of people who moved him forward. So each achievement that I make, it's not like thanks to me, it's thanks to my team, because I have people who give me courage to make those decisions. So uh, surrender, find help, follow the help, look at inventory. What are your assets? Like make a personal inventory of your trading style, get rid of your trading character defects, amend them, and stay connected to your guidance, stay connected to your guides, and it's going to happen. Those, I think, are those principles that work for me. And everything
Awesome.
else is like part of the journey, which is going to unfold differently for everybody. But these principles, I think, can keep you on the journey.
I appreciate you for doing that and kind of sharing your story and your experiences, what you've been going through. I think that's awesome and how people will be inspired by it. And I appreciate you also that you talk about the academy and things. That's super cool. So thank you, Samuel. I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll talk soon again.